You guys. Really? Come on, really? The voice line is from freaking Miss Pandaria, and in all that time, not one show, not one person out there decided to call a podcast Thrall's Balls? Come on, y'all disappoint me with your maturity and all that. All right, pitter patter, let's get at her.
Thrall's Balls! They're everywhere!
Thrall's Balls, the World of Warcraft podcast with a dirty mind and a clean behind. With your host, Wooly. What's up, guys? I go by Wooly, and this, as I said in the cold open, is Thrall's Balls. Yeah, that's right. That's right. There is another World of Warcraft podcast out there. Fuck yeah. If you can't tell by the name and my choice of language, this is not meant for the little ones. So, I don't know, maybe don't let them listen to it, and if they are listening to it, you can either tell them not to, or you can pretend they're not, or I don't give a fuck, they're your kids. What are you asking me for? Anyway, who am I? I am Wooly. That is a play on my last name, which, no, I'm not going to say. It's a nickname from high school, and some of you out there may know me as Plaggy Boy. I have done a number of podcasts in the past, like Campfire Chronicles, Load Screen. Honestly, there have been a couple that I've totally forgotten about. But anyway, I have a history of podcasting. I have a history of pod fading, so I'm determined not to let that happen this time. Gotta turn my master down just a little bit. There we go. I keep clipping. Anyway, I intend to keep this show going for as long as I frickin' can. A little bit about myself. I am 31 years old. I've been playing WoW since the Burning Crusade, actually. Not the remake. That's not out yet. Why would you say such a stupid thing? Burning Crusade, way back when. But it was pretty much right before Sunwell opened, and I never capped during that, so I never raided BC. I did very sparse raiding from Wrath, honestly, all the way until Legion. I didn't really raid until, I want to say, Nighthold, but I've been raiding somewhat regularly since then. First character I ever made was a Druid, and not long after that, I made my first Warlock. It's not the Warlock I play anymore. Right now, I play a Void Elf Warlock on Proudmoore US. What? My guild is called Collected Company. We typically go for ahead of the curve. Each raid tier. Though that said, we're pretty new. We started in 8.3, so the guild got curve on N'Zoth. I wasn't there that night, but I was there for our Sire kill. Unfortunately, not on my Warlock, because dumbass me wanted to try out Warrior, so I rated Warrior last year, 9.1. I'm going back to Warlock. Unfortunately, but also fortunately, I've been unemployed for quite some time, and that is changing, but my new job has me working over raid time, and that kind of sucks balls, but, you gotta do what you gotta do, you know, my brother. So it's gonna be interesting. I'm thinking I might, I talked to my guildmaster about doing a Sunday normal raid, so I might be leading a normal raid, but not doing curve, because that would be one day a week. I'm not gonna, we already have a heroic team. I'm not gonna try to split any player base or steal people. Anyway, so that is me. I do play Alliance, but I am Horde at heart. I always will be, even though my first two characters were Alliance. And, I've been toying with the idea of leveling my original Warlock and bringing him over, but here's the thing is, he is still on my original server. He is still the level I left him at, minus, the level squish and all that. I kind of want to, this sounds stupid, I kind of want to keep him, pure, I guess you could say that, if I transferred him, because when they transfer, they delete the character and create a new character at that level with all that equipment. It's not actually transferring. I mean, essentially to us, our, what's the word? Perspective, it is just a transfer, but in the back end, they delete that file, create a new file. It's like a cut and paste kind of thing. Anyway, I'm just kind of babbling. What is this show going to be about? That is a very good question that you didn't ask, because I can't hear a goddamn thing you're saying, because you're the audience, and also I'm recording and nobody's listening right now. This show, I don't want to put myself in a box with it. Basically, it's obviously about WoW, but it's going to be more whatever I kind of want to talk about. Like, I'm going to try to keep up with the WoW news. Fortunately, there has not been very much lately, but I'll get to that later. Or unfortunately, rather. Why would I say fortunately for that? I'm going to keep up with WoW news. I have a couple ideas in place for regular segments. We'll see how those pan out. But ultimately, I don't want to say we're going to talk about this, and it's going to be all about this, and then next time we're going to do this, and it's going to be rigid and structured. No. Just going to do what I'm going to do, baby. I will say, though, that at present, I would like to avoid story-based spoilers. Like, if I talk about PTR, I'm not going to say this character is secretly this character, or such and such dies in such and such way. No, nothing like that. I will probably talk about things like systems, or if there's something that Blizzard themselves have already confirmed, like if they said it at BlizzCon or something, that I'll talk about. But for the most part, you can expect a lack of spoilers as far as the story's concerned. And if I do say there's a spoiler, I'll call it out before I say it, and that way you'll know to just skip ahead. Before I move on, I want to put a call out there. I want a co-host really, really bad. This show has been delayed by several months because I've been trying to get a co-host and haven't really found somebody to take that up. I am looking for somebody who has a disgusting fucking sense of humor, same as me, who has a somewhat decent microphone. I can be a little flexible there because, equipment's expensive. But, and this is important, and this is where I have to draw the line, you have to be able to be an on-air personality, not just one of those people that just gets on a mic and goes, okay, yeah, I'm going to talk about WoW. I don't know, I don't really like that. I do like that, but yeah, or gives short answers, things like that. So hit me up if you think you might fit the bill, and we'll have a chat, shall we? Anyway, moving on, I want to kick off what I am planning to be a segment that we do every single week, Mixed Drink of the Week. Fuck yeah. I don't want to, I'm not going to call it a cocktail, because come on, it's not a cocktail. This isn't high society or anything like that. This is like bottom of the barrel. You're at a frat party and you're making a mixed drink. That's what this is. What I'm going to do for this first 36 weeks, and if you recognize that number for what it is, you already know where I'm going with this. I'm going to have each mixed drink, each week, be inspired by each spec of each class, one at a time. So we're going to go from lightest armor to heaviest armor, so cloth up to plate, in reverse alphabetical order of class. I know that doesn't necessarily make sense to hear it, but don't worry, I got it covered. So basically, for the first 3 weeks, it's Warlock, then it's going to be reverse alphabetical, so that then goes to Priest, I believe, then Mage. I'll figure it all out. It'll be great. So, for this week, we are starting with my boy, the Destruction Warlock. Oh, yeah. So, how I'm going to do this is each week, each drink is going to be named after some aspect of the spec involved. Like, this one is going to be, for Destruction Warlock, the Chaos Bolt. Now, this is going to be great. So, what is in the Chaos Bolt is a shot of Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey, a shot of Deep Eddy Lemon. I wanted to do Bacardi Limon, but I couldn't find it. a mystery ingredient that I will tell you after I mix it all up to let you know how I like it, and fill it all in with Mountain Dew. If this doesn't sound trashy and awesome, then I don't know what else I can do to make it better. I want it to be trashy and awesome. It's trashy and awesome, okay? Get off my back. Hold on a sec. Had to turn my master down again. This shit's too loud. So I'm going to start with adding the mystery ingredient. What's that sound you're saying? I don't know what that sound is. Oop, bumped the microphone. What was that? You guys, what am I doing? What kind of mad scientist bullshit am I up to? All right, here goes the fireball. Now, the Deep Eddy Lemon. Actually, I screwed up. I didn't put all the fireball in when I should have. Because I got those little bottles. Not like the big bottles. So the fireball, the Deep Eddy are in. Now the Mountain Dew. Oh, yeah. All right, and I gotta mix it up a little bit. I did not think to bring a stirring device. I'll edit out the silence, but hold tight. I need a stirring device. All right, fear not, you big, veiny, triumphant bastards. I have a spoon. The resulting concoction is a lot less green than I had hoped. So there might be a Chaos Bolt Mark II down the line. Maybe not, I don't know. So, first sip of the Chaos Bolt. Oh yeah, that definitely tracks. That is good. So, what I told you was in here was the Fireball, the Deep Eddy Lemon, Mountain Dew. But what about that mystery ingredient? Well, you know, them Chaos Bolts, they're not smooth. They're fucking hot and chaotic and, you know, other words. I put a whole motherfucking package of Skittles right in the cup. Oh yeah, boys. Drink up. So if you want to make this on your own, go get that stuff, mix it up. Like I said before, it's those little bottles, like the 50 milliliter bottles of the liquor, and let me know what you think. Next week, I don't know what's in it yet because I have to make it up, but it's going to be demonology focused. It's going to be the Hand of Gul'dan. We'll have to figure that out as we go. Cheers. So, moving on. What have I been up to in-game? You would think not a whole lot. My guild got Curve a while ago, and I took that as my opportunity to switch back to my Warlock after the fact. So I have been planning to play Warlock in 9.1. For a while, it was neck and neck between Warlock and Ellie Shaman, because Ellie Shamans are fun. But ultimately, I decided I have more history with my Warlock, and I like to feel connected to my characters, so I'm going to keep playing him. As I alluded to before, unfortunately, my work schedule is such that I won't be able to raid at my normal raid times with my guild. But that depends when 9.1 actually drops, because in the summer, my schedule is going to change in such a way that it will allow that. But if we don't get the raid until like August, well, that's a bit of a tighter window. So I'm just kind of hoping for the best. In the meantime, I'm planning to do, at present, as I mentioned, a normal raid on Sundays with my guild. So if you're on Proudmoore, or even if you're not on Proudmoore and you want to just raid normal, hit your boy up, tweet at me. My Twitter is Woolly08, as in 08, WOOLLY 08, and the show's Twitter is ThrallsBallsPod. So throw me a shout, see if you want to join. We're trying to get it going. A lot of things are up in the air right now, so just, you know, be flexible. As for what else I was doing in the game, for a little bit I was considering finding a different guild to raid with that fits my time. I wouldn't leave my guild, but I would raid with another as well. So I had been leveling an orc shaman on Mal'Ganis, and I still plan to finish leveling him because, I mean, I can do like arena and shit, and that I can just kind of do whenever. I don't need organized stuff. So I have no intention of stopping playing the game, unlike a lot of people who are very dissatisfied right now, and you can't really blame them, can you? We're in a bit of a content drought. More on that later. But that's what I have been up to. From here, I plan to finish my Warlock because he is 60, but his renown is only like 28 or something. So I gotta finish up that campaign. I gotta get better gear on him because his gear's atrocious. He's like 173 or something right now. Don't even have a Lego on him yet. Gotta do that. There's a lot of work I have to do. So, in news about WoW, the PTR is up, which is fucking awesome. Patch 9.1, Chains of Domination. As I mentioned earlier in the show, I'm not going to spoil anything about the story, at least not now, and when I do, I'll warn you. But like stuff like systems, mounts, and shit like that, I'll spoil the fuck out of that. That's fine. That's fine with me. Like, I can't imagine there's too many people sitting around going, oh boy, when are we going to be able to fly? I want to wait until it drops. No, it doesn't work that way. Speaking of, the stuff that is on the PTR or that we know is coming with 9.1, we are getting flying. Hell yeah, that is like, in terms of patch number and name, that is earlier than we would have expected, and I'm totally okay with that. That said, as long as this patch has gone on, it probably equals out to about the same. But with that flying, we get spiffy new Covenant mounts. I believe the Maldraxxus get this flying, well, I mean, it's a fly, it's a corpse fly. When you think of undead and corpses and stuff, I mean, there's flies around. So it's this big, scary looking fly. I don't really know how to feel about it, but I play Maldraxxus, so I play Necrolord on my Warlock, so I'm gonna give that a little bit of shot. I can hear people go, wait, not Night Fate? No, because I don't play Affliction. I play Destro, bitch. So we're getting flying, we're getting the mounts. Flying is tied to renown, as are the mounts, and I can only assume that is a renown 80 reward. I probably could have looked that up, but I didn't. So take that with a grain of salt. And that also paves the way to tell you that renown is going up by 40 more levels. So if you liked doing random stuff to increase your renown, hooray! You can do more of it. They haven't really said very much of what the different renown level rewards are going to be, but weirdly enough, I'm actually kind of excited for that, because there's something kind of cool about getting a new thing each renown level. So that's something I'm going to keep an eye on. I haven't gotten onto the PTR myself yet, but I did get the client updated, so I'll probably pop on there soon enough. One kind of small thing that people are going to be really happy about. When we were told about Shadowlands, they were like, you'll be able to transmog one shoulder at a time, and then we got our Shadowlands patch, and we didn't have that option, and people were like, Blizzard, what the fuck? And Blizzard was like, fuck, I don't know. And then we were like, Blizzard, what the fuck? And then Blizzard was like, I guess we're still working on it, okay? Leave me alone. Well, that's coming. 9.1 will be able to mog one shoulder at a time if you wanted. You could put two random mix and match shoulders on. You could keep one bare, whatever your little heart desires. And I am all for that. Needed a quick drink of my Chaos Bolt. I am all for that because it's further levels of character customization. Speaking of which, that's something they have said is done for the expansion, with a lot of people are mad about that. I'm not too happy either. They originally made it sound like they were going to be adding more customization options as the expansion went on, and now they're not going to anymore. And I mean, we don't necessarily know what goes on behind the scenes, right? Like, we're currently in a super long content drought, so there's no in-game news to talk about, really, because nothing has changed in-game. But it's... I mean, a lot of people just like being mad, and I can't blame them for being mad, but honestly, I think COVID's got a lot to do with this. Like, Blizzard has switched to a work-from-home kind of environment. I know one, maybe two people who work at Blizzard, but they don't work in the game design, game development area. One of them is more esports focused, and I don't really want to bother them with that question because they probably get asked it a lot. So just be patient, be flexible. Hell, if you're not happy, then you can cancel your sub and come back when the patch comes out. I know a lot of people are doing that. Nobody would blame you. A lot of raid teams out there are taking a break, including mine. We finished Curve, so I got a little off track here, but okay, so there is a new raid coming as well, as you would expect. It is the Sanctum of Domination, and Sylvanas is the final boss of that. No, that's not a spoiler, because Blizz told us about this at BlizzConline. Right? Right. So... oh, you know what? I forgot to talk about the mounts. Biatch. So, as I said, the Maldraxxus Fly mount, the Corpse Fly, is for the Necrolords. Venthyr get this, stone-looking gargoyle bat thing, which honestly looks dope. And it seems the skeleton of that is based on, like, the flying bat thing that demon hunters get in Legion, in the 7.2 mounts. Bastion... Kyrian get this, I forget the name of it, but it's like a robotic flying lion kind of thing, and it looks like it uses the same skeleton that the priest mount uses, also from 7.2, so that looks pretty cool. And probably my favorite one, though, I don't think I have any Night Fae characters anymore because I moved my mage to Venthyr. They're getting this, like, flying fox wolf thing that's, like, serpentine. It's like it uses the cloud serpent skeleton model, all that stuff, but it looks like a long furry fox worm dealy. I actually think it looks pretty dope. I kind of wish I could get it. It's probably worth pointing out that if you get, say, the Venthyr mount on one character and you go to try to fly it on a different character that isn't in the Venthyr Covenant, then you're not going to be able to use it. Or at least that's my assumption. So I mentioned BlizzConline earlier, and I just want to take a minute and speculate about whether or not we're going to have a physical BlizzCon this year. First of all, by the time that November, when it usually is, rolls around, we might find ourselves saying, well, yeah, we could have done it. It would have been fine. I mean, we might not, but we could, considering how things are going lately in terms of COVID. But you got to bear in mind, that is a decision that Blizzard has to make pretty much by now, whether or not they're going to hold a physical BlizzCon. Because in the past, they've started selling tickets around like April, May, June, around there. And considering we haven't heard whether or not they're going to, I would venture to guess that they're still deciding. Now, BlizzCon is a huge source of revenue for Blizzard. I'm sure it costs a lot to do, but they get a lot from it as well. So I gotta wonder just how much Activision will be pressuring them to do it versus not. But at the same time, if Blizzard errs on the side of caution, which they just might, I don't think I'd blame them, because it's a hard choice to make. Now, I've been planning to go, I've never been to BlizzCon unless you count BlizzCon Line, but that was free for everybody and nobody had to travel. And I really wanted to go this year because going by patterns set forth, this would be a year that they would announce a new expansion, right? Because last year would have been the in-between year, and it didn't happen until they did the online one. 2 years ago, believe it or not, well, not 2 years, at this point it's like a year and a half, it was when they announced Shadowlands. So we're due for an expansion announcement. Maybe it won't happen considering the pacing of things. Maybe it will. I don't know. If I had to come down and make a guess right now whether or not I think BlizzCon will happen, I want to say yes. But at this point, if Blizzard had to make that decision right now, I don't really see them making that gamble. Like, I don't see them putting... Activision absolutely would put money ahead of health. I don't think Blizzard would want to. Activision is not Blizzard. You hear Activision, Blizzard, but that's all semantics. I just don't see it happening. I really hope I'm wrong, but also I hope things are safe by then. You know, it's so complicated. We just gotta wait and see, you know? But that said, if I had to guess right now, I don't think it's gonna happen. Anyway, we're gonna move on to a little bit of a segment that I might continue, I might not continue. It's top 5, and this time it's going to be the top 5 weenies of WoW, as in, like, lame or slightly amusingly lame NPCs or bosses, or whether that's intentional or on purpose. And I came up with that concept before I came up with the list, so I don't think a single NPC on this list was unintentionally lame or lamely amusing or whatever. But let's get to it. So, coming in at number 5, we have everybody's favorite troll druid, Zenkiki. Zenkiki counts as a weenie, not because he's lame, but because when we first see him, he's just learning how to be a druid, right? So first we see him in Western Plaguelands. He follows us around for a quest or two, trying to attack the bad guys, but just ends up moonfiring his own ass quite a lot. He's not super lame, but I for one was reminded of him when I first joined this... Excuse me. He's not super lame, but I for one was reminded by him of when I first joined this game, and, you know, we all make dumb noob mistakes. I thought I had to jump off Teldrassil to get to a city because some dickhead in general chat told me I had to. Whoops. Anyway, he's just a noob. That's it. He's not bad. He's just learning. He's the NPC who annoys the shit out of us on a quest, but whom we remember fondly later on, right? Like, later he'd show up in WoD, specifically in the Garrison Inn. He says he'd be there sooner, but he had a little trouble getting his flight form to work in Draenor. I love this, because, like, it not only is a reference to him being, let's say, a bit challenged of a druid, like he's learning, but is slowly learning, but it's also a really subtle reference to the whole fiasco that was whether or not we could fly in Warlords of Draenor. Like, if you weren't playing then, there was a while that Blizzard just was like, no, we're not going to be flying in Draenor at all. But there was pushback from the player base, and they decided, fine, here's Pathfinder. It's a pain in the dick, but here you go. So that's a bit of a reference to that. And then we saw him again in Legion, where he fucked up his derp seal form, shifted into it on land, and he's like, oh shit, and then he wiggles back into the water, and then that's it. And that is in the Druid Order Hall. So... And then we saw him most recently in BFA. It seems he's finally figured his shit out and was part of the unified effort of the Cenarian Circle and the Earthen Ring to heal the wound in Silithus caused by Sargeras' giant schlong. Sword. schlong. Listen, can you prove that Sargeras' sword is not actually his schlong? You can't prove that. You can't. You just can't. So this whole time, he's been giving it to Azeroth. Like, seriously, look at the wound. Look at the shape of the wound. Never mind. Coming in at number 4, we have Caden Dunwald. Okay, look, I'm sure we all hate escort quests, but Caden's quest brings a level of self-awareness that's just amusing enough that while it doesn't overshadow the clunky, lame nature of escort quests in the first place, it's definitely worth a chuckle. So, as the Reddit user Katu, I don't know if I'm saying that right, K-A-T-T-O-U, as they put it on the r/wow subreddit, Caden Dunwald, a dwarf in Twilight Highlands. He's part of a quest line with a set of dwarf siblings who are all pretty great characters. Caden takes the cake, though, with his escort quest. Before you start the quest, you have this little dialogue with him. "You see that past ahead there, lad?" And you respond, "Yeah." "That's an ambush." And you respond, "You seem very certain." "Oh yeah, lad. Been through it 4 times already." And I take it you're going again? "Damn right." So, yeah, self-awareness. It knows that quest is going to get repeated. It's just a little bit of humor. But I mean, geez, imagine being the NPC who has to follow the same path constantly. People just show up to do that lamest of quest ideas, the escort quest, and like, no hate to the devs, but I mean, at least make them walk the same speed as us, right? Right? Okay, at number 3, we have Maximilian of Northshire. If there is a dashing, daring, brave, handsome, quintessential knight in shining armor, it's not my boy Maximilian. The dude's just nuts. Okay, sure, he's all about saving damsels and fighting dragons, but what he doesn't quite get when we see him in Ungaro is that dinosaurs aren't frickin' dragons. Like, if you want a further example of how far up his own ass he is, look no further than the male blood elf he insisted was a damsel in distress. Maxi Boy decided to save this so-called damsel, and through all these things, it seems he wanted things to be a certain way, like he wanted to be the knight in shining armor, he wanted to slay the fierce, horrifying dragon. So, like, he insisted to himself that things were that way. He then also shows up in Warlords, where he's got some quests to hand out, and then again in Legion pre-patch fighting against the Burning Legion invasion events. Kind of uneventful, but he did show up. But then later on, he finds himself stranded on the northern coast of High Mountain, where he manages to convince himself he was fighting demons, except it was just Murlocs. So yeah. Interestingly enough, Paladin players can recruit him as a follower in their class hall, so I mean, how bad could he be, right? Right? Guys? Alright, whatever. Number 2, we've got Rico. Rico is a Hosen character. They're the little monkey boys. The Horde encounters him in Mists of Pandaria. He comes across this Horde scouting party and he guides them around, but then their sergeant is attacked and taken prisoner by the Jade Witch. When this happens, Rico runs the fuck away with the remaining members of the party, among which is Kieran, whom we know to be a Forsaken. But it seems Rico doesn't quite understand that. So after getting a weird little monkey crush on her, he asks for a kiss after rescuing her from a small band of Jinyu. She's like, sure. She knows it's gonna freak him out, and she finds that amusing. And then, of course, she takes her mask off and Rico flips the fuck out and runs away. However, he later shows up again and he saves Kieran again. And, okay, how bad do you gotta fuck up that a monkey saves you twice? Anyway, when he saves her, he tells her he doesn't care about her, as he put it, weird dead face. So Rico's kind of a weenie, but like a charming weenie, sort of, I don't know, it's weird. And then here, our number 1 weenie NPC is Johnny Awesome. If you don't know who Johnny Awesome is, first of all, I'm a little surprised, but we first see him in, I believe it's a Cataclysm quest in Hillsbrad? It's either Hillsbrad Foothills or Arathi Highlands, I can't remember for sure. But it's his quest called Welcome to the Machine, You are the NPC, and you're giving quests out to adventurers who come along. There is Johnny Awesome, of course. There is what I believe is an orc warrior or a death knight or something who calls himself Dumas, but he's supposed to say dumbass. And he's an idiot. But we're talking about Johnny right now. So he shows up. He's this blonde-haired blood elf riding a sparkle pony. And what's amusing about that is it's less so now, but even back in Cataclysm, male blood elves were kind of seen by the Horde players as sort of like frou-frou. Listen, no hate from me. I play on Proudmoore, so I mean, if you know anything about Proudmoore, take that as you will. Bye as fuck. Anyway, what makes him lame is it's 100% intentional, but while entertaining, Johnny Awesome and his guild tag of Ubertown reminds all of us of that little noob-ass tryhard that couldn't. You know, that we all were, that we were like, I'm going to be the best at this game, but then we're just kind of lame. We've all seen them, we've been them. Maybe they're the warrior who doesn't know what their battle shout does, or maybe the holy priest who says they don't have any healing spells. They're out there, folks, and with his Sparkle Pony store mount, he also represents the pay-to-win scrub. I want to note here that I have zero problem with people buying and using store mounts. Whether or not the store mounts exist is a different matter, but I'm not getting into that right now. It's their money, you know? So if they want to buy a mount, that's on them. But public perception is an entirely different matter, especially considering that this quest came out in Cataclysm not terribly long after the Sparkle Pony came to the in-game shop toward the end of Wrath. So that's, I want to say, less than a year. So since it was the first store mount, people were, when it came out, I remember like a bunch of people had it, but others were like, what the cinnamon toast fuck is this bullshit? So contextually, it fits with Johnny Awesome super well as showing up, buying a store mount, and deciding they're the best shit to come out of the world since, I don't know, creamed corn or some shit. Anyway, he also shows up later in the Legion quest Destiny Unfulfilled, which is amusing because he just kind of AFKs while his team fights Illidan. Fucking classic. Alright, I actually had been hoping that I had enough content to talk about here that would last an hour, but it seems it did not. So I'm just going to go ahead and end the show. Just going to put it out there that maybe if I had a co-host, we could riff off each other a little more, make the show longer and more entertaining. But that's my way of saying if you're interested in that, hit me up. Even if you don't necessarily fit the requirements I set, you know, hit me up anyway. We'll see what we can work out. Once again, join us next week where the drink of the week is going to be called Hand of Gul'dan as the Demonology Warlock drink. This week we had the Chaos Bolt, and again, that is a shot of Fireball, a shot of, I forget, Eddy something, Lemon, a bag of Skittles, the little $1 thing you can get at the grocery store, and Mountain Dew. Please, if you're so inclined, go ahead and follow the show on Twitter and on Spotify. If you're listening on Spotify or some other platform, just search for Thrall's Balls on Spotify. It'll be there. Follow the Twitter. It is at Thrall's Balls Pod. Follow my Twitter if you want. I am at Wooly08. WOLLY. Wait, no, sorry. WOOLLY08. With that all said, you guys, see you next time. Bye-bye.